Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. Hey, lovers of small businesses and good stories in general. Welcome to episode 83 of Small Business War Stories. Now, if you would have told me when I started this podcast that I would be interviewing such cool businesses as Merlin's Hideout, I would have been like, that is awesome. How do I get to episode 83? Well, Merlin's Hideout is a company that makes these amazing coats out of buffalo hides, really bison buffalo hides in Wyoming, in Thermopolis, Wyoming, which is kind of off the beaten path. But today I had the opportunity to sit down with Barb Heinze, and she is the person that is in charge of running things with her husband at Merlin's Hideout. And they are the people who made the, if you saw the movie Hateful Eight, Tarantino's Hateful Eight, Kurt Russell's character has an enormous, really cool buffalo coat that Merlin's Hideout made for them. And I had the opportunity to try one of these, and they are indeed very, very large and very warm and very awesome. So we talked a lot about what it means to work with these materials, to have awe and respect for these animals, and also provide a great service and start a business in Thermopolis, Wyoming, which is, again, very much off the beaten path. This episode is a part of the Soul of America tour, and as such, it is brought to you by FreshBooks. FreshBooks is a small business accounting software, and it helps you as a business keep track of all the things that you need to do in order to successfully run your business. Because even if you love what you do, you have to keep track of all your financials. You have to keep track of your tax information, your invoicing, and this allows you to do all of that. Send out invoices to your customers and really run the financial engine of your business so you can focus on the things that you love. Check them out. Go to Go to FreshBooks/War Stories and tell them that you found on Small Business War Stories. And this episode, like every episode of Small Business War Stories, is brought to you by Proven. 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 That's a company I started. Proven.com. It is a small business hiring tool that for a very inexpensive price will let you organize all of your hiring. Go check it out. Proven.com. And we also have a lot of good resources at blog.proven.com, including this podcast, that help you as a small business owner run things better. We want to help you succeed. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Small Business War Stories number 83 with Barb Heinze of Merlin's Hideout in Thermopolis, Wyoming. And we are live here, and we are here in beautiful Thermopolis, Wyoming, and I have the pleasure today of sitting down with Barb Heinze of Merlin's Hideout. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's so cool to be here.
I'm so glad you made the trip to come see us.
Absolutely. And this is, we have so much to talk about, and you guys do so many cool things here. But one of your claims to fame, you have many claims to fame, but one of your claims to fame is that for the movie Hateful Eight, Quentin Tarantino's team needed authentic bison. Do you call it buffalo? You call them buffalo?
Common name is buffalo,
okay.
But the true name is, the technical name is bison.
Okay. And they wanted Kurt Russell to wear an authentic, real deal buffalo coat. And you were the one they sought out, and you were the one who made these.
Correct.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And we'll talk a little bit more about those, the details of that. But I found you because you have a reputation nationwide and worldwide for having some of the best buffalo hide products and other hide products around. So what makes your hide special? What is it about them that makes them the best?
Well, there's not a lot of people that deal in buffalo hides.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, I believe it's because of the quality.
Okay.
We're all about the quality of the hide, making sure it's the best prime winter fur, tanned with the best methods that will last a lifetime.
What does that mean? What is the tanning process, and what are the best tanning? What is difficult about executing that well?
Sure. most of the people look at the fur side,
Okay.
and you want a very presentable, visual, pretty fur side. The most important part of the hide is the leather. And so it's how the leather is treated from when it comes off the animal all the way through the tanning process. You want a soft, supple hide. If you have a stiff hide, it hasn't been thinned properly, there's still raw hide, and that's what's making it thick. So it's getting it thinned, it's getting it preserved for a lifetime.
Okay.
A lot of hides will fall apart within a few years. Ours will not.
Wow.
They will last you.
Okay.
They will be an heirloom.
And you have been doing this for how long now?
17 years.
17 years. So you've seen a lot. So you've had a lot of experience seeing the good, the bad, the ugly.
Exactly.
And also, just to be clear from the very beginning, we mentioned that is it 100% of the hides here come from as a byproduct of ranching?
That's correct.
So
the animals are raised for their meat, and the hide becomes a byproduct.
Got it. And then what are the different uses that buffalo hides have? So we've talked about coats.
Sure. We use them for garments.
Mm-hmm.
You can use them as a rug, a bed cover, a wall hanger. It's pretty much whatever you decide you want to do. A lot of people use them in their teepees and camping. You don't get cold when you're in a buffalo hide. It's
good.
Impossible.
There's something very romantic about it, right? About the we're here in Wyoming. Is this considered Western Wyoming or Central Wyoming?
Probably Central West.
Central. There
Yeah.
you go, both of them, Central West Wyoming. And there's something very romantic about this notion. Is that something that you hear a lot from your customers? People reach out, like seeking that spirit of the Wild West.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we try to preserve with our hides and with our product. It's all built. All the fur products are built in our facility, handmade in the USA. And we're proud of that.
Okay, so tell me more about that. I've been meeting lots of folks, including the people that made the boots that I'm wearing, the Truman boots. I'm meeting with some folks in Montana who are also manufacturing here in the U.S. What does it mean to you to make things in the United States, and why is that important to you?
It helps our economy, number one. I think more it's the pride. To be in the USA and to have a product made in the USA. We are not a cookie cutter business. Gosh, some days I really wish we were, because it would be a lot easier to call China and just order up the product and have it shipped in and be good to go.
Uh-huh.
But there's something about being truly USA made. Our buffalo hides never leave the United States. They aren't tanned overseas. They're tanned in the United States. The animals are raised in the United States, and the product is made in the United States.
Got it. Are there other people who also deal in buffalo hides that are made abroad?
There are others that deal in buffalo hides, and there are hides that are tanned overseas.
And does that make it less expensive?
I would say everybody's kind of in the same price realm.
Okay.
The quality certainly isn't there when it's tanned overseas. There's people out there that claim to have brain tanned the buffalo hides, which is what how the Native Americans would have done it.
Okay.
But they're actually not. They're actually just chemically tanned.
Okay.
And then smoked at the end to smell like they've been brain tanned.
Wow.
So it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
We stand 100% behind our product. We're very proud of our product.
So tell me more about the tradition. So you're talking about how Native Americans did it. What is the history of buffalo hides, and what over the last however hundreds of years?
If you go all the way back, fur was like the original material. They didn't have the synthetics back then, and for warmth, you can't beat fur.
Okay.
The Native Americans, when they would hunt the buffalo, they used every part of the buffalo. Whether it be for clothing, for their teepees, as tools, for ceremony, every part of the animal was used. And it really, truly is America's animal.
So it has like a sacred connotation.
It does have sacred connotation.
Okay. And so you have this relationship of awe and respect, and also, in using the animal for
Exactly.
as its product.
Yes.
Beautiful. How do you source your hide? So you talked about, do you have relationships with all these ranches? How do you figure, how do you select the ones? What's your process like to do that?
Actually, like I said earlier, the buffalo are raised for the meat.
Uh-huh.
So they go to a butcher shop, just like all the other meat we eat, the cow, the pig, the
Yep.
sheep. And then we go to the butcher shop after the hide is off the animal and hand pick our hides. We only do it 30 days out of the year. We have to make sure that the hair is prime winter. We have to make sure the hair is set.
What does that mean? What does prime winter and what does set mean?
You want the fullest winter fur that the animal has.
Okay.
And so you have to wait until they are haired up for the winter.
Yeah.
And you have to select them before they start shedding.
Okay.
And shedding normally doesn't have that much to do with the ambient temperature. It'll have everything to do with the solist. So they will start shedding and it can still be 20 below outside. So we're very conscientious about what the hide looks like.
Yeah.
And when we choose them.
Very cool. What inspired you to originally start doing this? What was the impetus for that?
Wow, that's a story in itself.
Let's hear it. I want to hear that.
My husband Merlin
Uh-huh.
was raised on a ranch, hunted all of his life, and sewed leather, played with leather his entire life. And he, as a younger gentleman, had a pair of beaver gaiters, which are the leggings, and they wore out. And instead of being what I say, a normal person, and get on the internet and order them,
Yeah.
he decided he would hunt the beaver and tan him himself.
Okay.
So we put a tarp in our spare bedroom and set up little Rubbermaid totes.
Yep.
And he trapped the beaver and tanned him. And I thought it was a great one-time project.
Okay.
However,
It was one of those things you're like, okay, when is this beaver thing going to be done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the beavers got done. He made the gators. And then he went out and got a couple coyotes and tanned them. And then a couple fox. And the animals didn't quit coming that winter.
Wow.
And the following winter, a friend of his asked if he could tan a buffalo hide. And he said, sure, that he would like to try. And I said, that would be great, just not in the spare bedroom. Buffalo hide's about 36 square feet.
And how much does it weigh? It weighs quite a bit, right?
Fresh off, it's probably 100 to 150 pounds.
Wow. Wow.
And so he was kicked outside into a lean-to. And once again, fur is always prime in the winter, so it's the middle of winter when he's outside working this hide. The following year, we built a log shed, so he had a warm place to work. And that was pretty much where you would find him when he wasn't working, was in the log shed doing the tanning. He
Wow.
loved it. The following year, we built another shed because he needed more room. And I was leaving on a business trip, and I found him in the log shed. And he said he wanted this to be a 5-year plan. And I said, what? And he says, tanning full time. I said, okay, 5 years is a long time,
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Uh-huh.
I said, I came home on Friday, and he said he wanted to do this in 1-year plan. And I said, what's that? And he said, tanning. And I said, what the heck happened? I lost a year for every day I was gone. And so it is truly his passion. We started looking for property because we had to move in town. We were living in the country. A septic system won't take the amount of water we need. And I actually vetoed every property we looked at. I wanted to stay out in the country.
You did.
Yeah, I did. And in July 2005, his brother was killed in a logging accident.
Mm.
And it made me realize that it doesn't matter where you live or what you do, as long as you love what you do every day.
Yeah. So that was
And-
a unfortunate moment that made you see this.
Exactly. And so August of that year, we started building our first facility, and we moved in December, and within 3 months turned away work, and here we are today.
Wow. And this is a beautiful facility. And you were saying, we'll get into a minute into like all the different things you do here, because there are basically 3 different aspects of what you do.
Correct.
But what does it feel like? So what kind of line of business were you in before?
Actually, I worked for about 17 years in one of the national labs as a veterinary technician
Interesting.
in research. And prior to doing this, I was an insurance agent.
Okay.
So this was totally out of my realm, or what I thought I would ever be doing.
Yeah. So how do you compare those things? Working as in the veterinary field and working in insurance are both places where they have a little bit more of a, I guess, organized society, like corporate feel to them, versus here, this is, I'm sure you deal with lots of chaos and lots of different things. What does that feel like? What's the difference?
I would say what the similarity is that all those professions and what we currently do now are extremely detail orientated. I can't tell you how detail orientated this business is, or how we choose to do this business. It was kind of nice to work 8 to 5 days a week.
Sure.
Instead of working 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never really having any time off. But that's welcome to owning your own business.
Yeah.
As you well know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's a common thread amongst the people I interviewed. But the flip side of that is that there's this pride of ownership of creating something and also employing people. How many people do you employ here?
We employ 2 currently,
Okay.
and we would like to find 3 more.
That's great. So maybe you'll find we'll help you put out the word.
Yeah.
If you want to move to Thermopolis, Wyoming. So how do you find people? Actually, that's a great question. You're looking for 3 more people. What's your process to find people who share your values and understand what you're trying to do here?
We have difficulty in hiring people. What we do is very labor intensive, and most people don't want to work as hard as we work, which is very difficult. We live in a small town in the middle of Wyoming. The younger generation really doesn't want to stay in the small town. They want the city.
Mm-hmm.
And so it becomes we compete with the oil field as far as wages. And so it becomes difficult to find quality help.
Do you see people coming back? I've seen, driving around, a trend of people maybe going to a big city, but then kind of feeling like they want that sense of community. Have you seen people come back?
I think there's a few that come back every year.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, because people miss that sense of like being, belonging to something where they know their neighbor.
Exactly. And this is a great community. This community pulls together like none other.
Okay.
And so,
how did you find? So how many people live in Thermopolis?
the town itself has about 2,500.
Okay.
In our county, there's about 4,300.
4,300. Okay. So when you said that when you first opened, you immediately had more work than you could handle.
Correct.
How did you find your first customers? Because now you have a presence, you have a reputation, and people come to you from far and wide. And how did you find your first ones?
They actually found us.
Okay.
It's difficult to find tanneries, number one, and it's extremely difficult to find a tannery that has quality. And it was word of mouth. It was total word of mouth in the beginning. And remember, back then, we were a one-man operation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can do much more work now than what we did then.
Okay. Okay, so you had, right now people find you through word of mouth, and do you have a presence on Facebook, I saw?
We do have a presence on Facebook. We do have a website, and we do advertise in one magazine, Cowboys and Indians.
Okay.
Other than that, we really don't do any other advertising. Pretty much it's word of mouth. We've had people travel here from all over the country.
Yeah.
Just to come specifically to our store.
Wow, I only travel across the state. I'm sorry.
Oh, you came from Texas. Come on.
That's true. That's true. Very cool. Very cool. So tell me the story of the Hateful Eight. How did that go down? What happened?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was really crazy. It came in a blind phone call from Courtney Hoffman, who was the head costume designer.
Okay.
And she called and she had lots of specific questions about the buffalo hides. And she was looking for a buffalo hide, and it had to have specific characteristics. And I answered her questions the best I could, and I finally told her that if she told me what she was using the hide for, I could better assist her. And she said that they were making coats for a Quentin Tarantino movie. And I said, just in case you want to know, we make buffalo coats here. And she said, great. If I send you a picture, will you tell me if you can do it? I said, certainly. And she sent the picture, and for us, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah. What was the picture of? Who was?
It was a coat from the Gene Autry. It was in the archives of the Gene Autry Museum in California.
Is that in right next to Mount Whitney? So there's the Alabama. I climbed Mount Whitney a couple of times, and the Alabama hills. That's where they used to film all the westerns. I think there's a museum there. I don't know if it's that one. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where it is exactly. And she said, "Great, go ahead. Build us a proto," and we did, and they were very pleased. And I always thought that it was maybe one coat per movie. No, there was 8 coats that had to be made for the movie.
Why is that? I would have thought one would have been enough too.
It was great. I mean, we learned so much about the movie business. If they shoot the end scene before they shoot the beginning scene, and the product maybe gets damaged, then they have to have a replacement coat. Or if Mr. Tarantino decides to take 8 shots of a certain scene, they have to be able to change out the coat in between.
Right. Maybe they shoot a bullet hole on it too.
Right. Exactly.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it was crazy. It was a huge challenge for us. It takes 2 buffalo hides to build 1 coat. And we made the first one, and then the next 7 had to match that first coat as close as could be. And once again, no 2 buffalo hides matched. We looked at over 300 buffalo hides to pull enough hides to build the coats.
Wow.
For the Hateful Eight.
That is awesome. So what did it feel like when you went to the theater and you saw your coats on the screen?
It was something else. I'll have to
Did you watch the wide format one? Like 88 millimeter film?
Not the 70 millimeter.
Oh, 70 millimeter.
Yeah, not the 70 millimeter. No. Okay. We had to wait. Our little theater doesn't have 70 millimeter.
Okay, yeah. I traveled to see that because it was so amazing. Like the grain, like the magnificence of it is beautiful.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Did they film that here in Wyoming?
No, they did not. They filmed it in Telluride, Colorado.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So it must have felt great though, either way, right? To
it
see
was
that
great.
On there.
Yeah.
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 And Kurt Russell is the one who wears the coat.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Very cool.
And then about a year after that came out, we had a phone call from a gentleman that works for, I should say, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
And we had Arnold Schwarzenegger in our store about a year and a half ago, trying his buffalo coat on and choosing the buttons he wanted for it. So that was pretty cool too.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So what kind of style of buffalo coat does Arnold Schwarzenegger wear?
It's very similar to what we made for the Hateful Eight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And what is that? So it's a long coat, right?
It is a long coat.
Down to what, your calves or something?
Yeah. It goes to mid-calf. Very similar to what the mounted police in Canada wore many, many years ago. Kind of the same design. We use a lot more fur with ours. But yeah, pretty spectacular.
It probably weighs quite a bit, right? It's like
it weighs 12 pounds.
Oh, that's not that much.
Yeah, it weighs 12 pounds.
Wow. So this is something you would wear if you're, out and about in a snowstorm.
Correct.
Okay.
And you wouldn't get cold. Nope.
Okay. Do you have one? Do you own one?
Do I own one?
Yeah.
No, because I can go in my store and get one anytime I want.
Anytime you want, just wear it out. That sounds cool. Awesome. Any other stories and interesting, wacky stories with celebrities, other people that have come here and gotten coats?
Maybe not celebrities. We've sent our coats all over. We have a coat in South Korea.
Wow.
That was a custom order coat for us. So that was pretty fun too.
How do they find you? Is it just word of mouth, the internet?
They found us because of the Hateful Eight.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you get people, then this is, starts to amplify.
Correct. And since October of 2015, we've been on back orders of our buffalo coats.
How long does it wait for a buffalo coat now?
Right now, it's about 10 weeks.
Okay. So, and they're all custom made?
They're all custom made. Yeah,
okay.
They're all custom made.
Measurement and
yeah. We get the measurements. We hand pick the hides.
Okay. But you do have a retail shop. So let's talk a little bit more about what goes into this operation. So you have a retail shop, and then you have a tannery.
Correct.
And then you have a manufacturing facility upstairs for actually making things.
Correct.
Okay, so how are those three businesses the same or different, and how do they all relate? That's with only 2 employees, 4 total people?
4 total people right now.
Jeez, I'm tired just thinking about
Yeah, it's pretty tiring. I always say I'm just the office help, but I pretty much run the office, run our website, do all the shipping, and pinch hit in our store. Our employees take care of the store. We don't man the store full time,
Okay.
which helps. Merlin is definitely 100% in charge of the tannery. He has the passion. He loves the tanning. I mean, if he could do it 24 hours a day, he would, but he does need to sleep.
Yeah. And he's out hunting right now, so
he's out hunting right now.
So he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes. What's he hunting for?
Elk.
Elk. Okay.
Elk.
So he's gonna walk in any minute here with an elk.
Yeah, well, he hasn't gotten it, but yeah, he's coming back today.
Oh, got it. Okay.
He'll be back this evening.
So he's gonna be in a bad mood.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, because without getting the elk, that means he gets to go again. So life is good.
It sounds
Life
like
is
a
good.
win-win.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting things you mentioned earlier when you were giving me a tour of the facility is that you don't tan your own hides. So you basically have a sister tannery that the products that you make and sell are tanned elsewhere.
Correct.
Is that right? Is that correct? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. When we first started the business, we figured on tanning between 35 and 50 buffalo hides a year for us to sell. We currently ship about 400 buffalo hides out of here a year.
Wow.
We bring in about 600 buffalo hides. There's always certain hides that won't make a quality.
What do you do with those?
That's what we make the coats, the hats, the mittens, all the other products out of.
Oh, the ones that are not full, like,
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Correct. And
Because with that sewing machine that you showed me, you can.
right,
Got it.
with our fur machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to explain what you showed me how you can, with it, what's it called, the sewing machine?
A fur machine?
A fur machine, and then
Yeah.
you can make it basically so that you have a seam in the reverse. So when you flip it over, it looks like there's no seam at all.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, very cool. So do people bring you then their elk and their hunts over here, and then you tan those?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And then we work for a lot of taxidermists. We will tan the fur for them, and they do the mounting.
Okay, that's interesting. I am not familiar with the world of taxidermy. So a taxidermist does not, or do some of them tan their own?
Very few tan their own.
Okay, so they send out.
Correct. And get the hide tanned,
Okay.
and then they do all the mounting and the beautification
For trophy purposes.
for trophy purposes.
Got it. Very cool. And what? How do you balance all this? So how do you balance again, like the store with your internet orders, with making things upstairs? So what else do you make upstairs other than coats?
We make all products. We make
Hats.
We make hats, mittens, vests. We do some leather shirts. We do coyote coats.
Okay.
We do vests out of beaver, coyote, and buffalo. Yeah.
And you also have the skulls, right? The buffalo
We do
skulls.
the skulls.
And then you work with an artist who paints them sometimes.
Correct.
And so forth.
Correct.
Wow. That's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah, and I just think when you own the business and you grow with it, you don't feel the growing pains so much. It just becomes normal.
Yeah.
And so I think we balance it pretty well.
Yeah. No, I mean, it seems like everything's running, like TikTok right here. That's awesome. In your years running this business and starting something, unique here, what's been your number one lesson, the number one thing you've learned that you would say other people who are considering starting their own business that you'd want to share?
Do what you love. Do it better than anybody else. Take pride in your work. And you never work a day in your life.
It all feels like just breathing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you think of a time when things went wrong? And you've been around, and sometimes things just don't go as planned. Can you think of a time when you were like, oh, shit, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and how did you solve that?
I would say maybe that happens daily. You never know what you're going to do from day to day, or you never know who's going to call, and
Sure.
say, hey, can I come do a podcast this afternoon?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know,
those crazy people.
you just kind of adjust.
Yeah.
You
Can
adjust.
you think of a story when things went really bad?
I can't think of a time that, like, we had a horribly unhappy customer.
Okay.
Our number one rule around here is customer service.
Okay.
We're here for the customer. We stand 100% behind our product. And if you're not happy with it, we aren't happy with it.
Yep.
So please ship it back to me, and we will do what it takes to make it right.
Okay. What can you think of an example when something was off and you fixed it?
Gosh, I just can't think of a real horrible situation.
Well, okay.
I mean, and it probably happens
Okay.
every day, but we
Just kind of roll with it.
we roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the part where you just feel like you're breathing and this is what you do.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
What's your vision? What do you want to do? How do you see this in the next 10 years?
My vision is that we could retire.
Yeah.
Merlin's vision is that we'll work till we're 90. So I'm not exactly sure what we would do.
Yeah.
We would actually like to sell the business at some point.
Okay. It would take a very special buyer.
It would take a very special buyer. And to know the entire process, I don't know if that person's out there.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you, and this has come up a few times in our conversation so far, about the dynamics of working with your spouse, right? So you originally have, your husband coming home with dead animals that he puts in the spare bedroom.
Exactly.
And now you're talking about this sort of like negotiation and push and pull with what your goals are. What is it like to work with your spouse in a small business setting, and what are the kind of pros and cons, and what have you learned from it?
Owning a small business with your spouse, you're together 24/7.
Yeah.
And I think most days that's great, but there are those days you want to have your own space.
Yeah.
You just need to get away. There's probably more conflict than in a situation where you don't work with your spouse. We don't go home at night and talk about, hey, honey, what did you do at work today? Because we all
you
know.
saw it.
Yeah. We were both involved in it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to have conversation that doesn't involve the business.
Yeah.
Because it is 24/7. And so I would say those are the cons. The pros is the same. I get to be with my husband 24/7.
Yeah.
Not many people do.
That's great.
I get to play with fur every day.
Yeah.
Not many
And
people
honor
do.
these beautiful animals.
Exactly.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Where can people find you? So what is your website address, and where do you have a presence on Facebook, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so what is your website?
Our website is merlinshideout.com.
Mm-hmm.
And Merlin's Hideout is on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter.
Okay, that is amazing. And your physical location here, if people want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger and come by?
It's 626 Richard Street in Thermopolis, Wyoming.
And Thermopolis is known, I saw it on the way in here, as the oldest, the largest or the oldest spring?
Largest hot springs.
Largest hot springs in the country.
I believe so.
Wow.
I believe so.
Wow. I wish I were staying for longer. I gotta go to Bozeman.
We have one of the top 10 ranked dinosaur museums here. Dinosaurs were found here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an amazing town.
Come visit Thermopolis, Wyoming.
It's a gem in its own.
And come check out Merlin's Hideout.
We'd love to have you here.
Barb, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or on our blog at blog.proven.com. If you have an idea for us, we'd love to hear it. Please email us at podcast@proven.com. See you next time. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes.